Okay, so the Lord just spoke to me about something, and it's kind of a momentous occasion because look at this. Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter... This is amazing. This is what the Lord... Okay. It says, in my vision at night, I looked, and there before me were 4 winds of heaven churning up the great sea. 4 great beasts, each different from the other, came up out of the sea. The first was like a lion, and it had the wings of an eagle. I watched until its wings were torn off, and it was lifted from the ground so that it stood on 2 feet like a man, and the heart of a man was given it. And then it says, and there before me was a second beast, which looked like a bear. It was raised up on one of its sides, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth, between its teeth. It was told, get up and eat your fill of flesh. After that, I looked, and there before me was another beast, one that looked like a leopard, and on its back it had 4 wings, like those of a bird. This beast had 4 heads, and it was given authority to rule. After that, in my vision at night, I looked, and there before me was a 4th beast, terrifying and frightening and very powerful. It had large iron teeth. It crushed and devoured its victims and trampled underfoot whatever was left. It was different from all the former beasts, and it had 10 horns. While I was thinking about the horns, there before me was another horn, a little one, which came up among them, and 3 of the first horns were uprooted before it. This horn had eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth that spoke boastfully. As I looked, thrones were set in place, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was as white as snow, the hair of his head was white like wool. His throne was flaming with fire, and its wheels were all ablaze. A river of fire was flowing, coming out from him. Thousands upon thousands attended him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court was seated, and the books were open. Okay, so what's the momentous occasion about this? Okay, here's what it is. Where it says, I need the light again. Okay, where it says, the first beast was like a lion and it had wings of an eagle. I watched it until its wings were torn off, and it was lifted from the ground so that it stood on 2 feet like a man, and the heart of a man was given it. All of a sudden I sneeze. Okay, so that sneeze is prophetic confirmation. What the Lord just told me is the lion with the eagle's wings represents, the eagle represents the United States. The lion represents Great Britain. The leopard represents Islam. The bear represents Russia. Okay, so what that means is, so what the Lord told me today is that is happening, that the wings have been cut off and plucked, unfortunately, and that's when Daniel stopped watching. That's when he kind of turned away, and it was given the heart of a man, and that's, the heart of a man is Donald Trump, and the Lord was telling me that these things are coming to pass. And I know that Ukraine represents Ukraine, Belarus, and Crimea represent the 3 ribs in the mouth of the bear. And get up and eat your fill of flesh represents the Ukraine war, which now we don't see much of that in the news. That's hardly in the news at all, because we got another war going on in another place with Iran. And so we're at the end of the age. Everybody knows it. And everybody's looking for somebody to blame. But they can't blame anybody but themselves. And the Bible says that it's the end of the age. So that's the momentous occasion, is that it's officially the end of the age. And by the way, this is pink lemonade. No, lemonade. This is an alcoholic drink. And you're better off. Now, I drank this, probably about 5 days ago. I don't actually enjoy drinking, to be honest. But I'm homeless, so I got to play the part, right? I mean, come on. But the point is, you're better off having a drink every once in a while and getting, like this got me pretty much intoxicated. Anyway, pink. The color pink. This is lemonade. I was thinking it was pink lemonade. Anyway, the point is, you're better off having a few drinks every once in a while than being someone like Pastor Rodney who disobeys God in a bunch of ways. And to be honest, if having a drink makes you feel kind of guilty and a little bit condemned and humbles you, sometimes, I mean, last time when I bought this, I was walking to the the little corner store up here thinking, I don't want to drink. I really don't. It doesn't interest me. And I find myself walking in there and getting a drink and then drinking it and then being buzzed and then feeling bad about it. And feeling guilty, like, oh man, I messed up, dang. So I don't really enjoy it. And then when I get over that, I'm just saying, but you're better off having a drink every once in a while and having some sort of sin than the sin of disobedience, the sin of pride, the sin of rebellion, everything that Pastor Ronnie Howard-Browne is doing. By the way, I should bring this up. This is an example of why nuclear war is going to happen. You see his devil horn? That's not even photoshopped. Just saying. This is a instant while he's blinking or he's looking down reading. I don't know. But that's just one of many pictures of Rodney Howard-Browne. This guy is basically, if you want to know how the devil drew 1/3 of innumerable, look at the life of Rodney Howard-Browne and then bring in all his people that have turned aside for the love of money. That's just enhanced to show the devil horns. This is always a good one. I'm just saying, these are real pictures, man. I got all these from one video on YouTube. And if there's 30 frames a second, that means in 2 seconds you have 120 frames to choose from. All these pictures come from maybe, 5 seconds worth of video. But 1,500 individual frames. Look at this one. That's ghostly. I mean, come on. That is weird looking, isn't it? It's just so strange. And it just keeps getting better. So if you look at his life and how he lives and his teaching, you'll see how Satan works. And if you look at his relationships and the people who serve him, like Eric Gagnon disobeyed God to follow Rodney Howard-Browne 30 years ago, 26 years ago. Can you imagine following this guy, disobeying God to do what this guy says? That's how Satan drew one. And if you think about what happened with Timothy Eusta, I mean, talk about a guy who's reached into the heavens and pulled people down from and prevented them from fulfilling the call of God on their life. Because of him, okay, I was supposed to be one of the 100 evangelists that this guy raised up. Eric Gagnon too, probably, and also probably Timothy Eusta should be out there preaching and going on crusades in other countries. Just saying.